Hello and welcome to another analysis behind the news. So here we are 100 plus days into the Trump administration, which has made some progress on the president's campaign promises. Some good people have been brought into the administration, but unfortunately it seems the trend is to get rid of any of the constitutional conservative influence and replace it with those sympathetic to the political establishment. Kind of like what's going on over at Fox News. Is this being done with Trump's knowledge? We can only speculate. What we can point to is quite a number of flip-flops that he has had on many key issues, including embracing the UN and NATO instead of getting out of them, renegotiating NAFTA instead of getting out of it, intervening in Syria as he once criticized President Obama about, and supporting the Export-Import Bank. Is this draining the swamp? Or, as NBC calls it, replacing the swamp? Has he gone full-blown neocon? And is this what we can expect from him for the rest of his term? Now granted, it is early, so perhaps we should certainly cut him some slack. But it's obvious that the political establishment globalists aren't passively sitting by, so neither should constitutionalists. Perhaps a good metric of this is how willing Republicans in Congress are likely to stand up for principle. How many are standing up in opposition to funding the federal government at Obama's levels through September? Are the days of the John Boehner Republican tipping over due to a stiff Democratic breeze over with? Or is Paul Ryan leading them down the same road? If that's not clear to you yet, then just follow the current omnibus compromise bill now sailing through a Republican House, Senate, and President. A hallmark of a neoconservative agenda is the continuing of positioning America as the policeman of the world. However, this position is unelected and unaccountable to those it directly affects. It's also a huge pit that swallows up taxpayer dollars to no end. Plus, it has unseen ramifications unknown by the American public. And the Wall Street Journal provides a glimpse into this. An article published last week reported on how Russia was supplying small arms, including light machine guns, to the Taliban. These weapons were being used by the Taliban in fighting our troops in Afghanistan. The Wall Street Journal reports, U.S. military officials confirmed Monday that in the last 18 months they have seen more weaponry from Russia in the hands of Taliban fighters, including machine guns and anti-aircraft machine guns. U.S. officials have been complaining that the Kremlin has interfered in Afghanistan on the Taliban side, but the comments Monday marked the most serious U.S. charges yet. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, who arrived in Kabul on an unannounced visit Monday, said it would be a violation of international law for Russia to provide the Taliban with weapons. Well, in order to have international law, don't you need some sort of world government? Just throwing that out there. Military officials have long suspected Russia may be sending weapons to Afghanistan, but have noticed an increase recently, according to senior U.S. military officials. The weapons are showing up in Helmand, Kandahar, and Uruzgan provinces. Asked Monday if the Russians were providing such weapons, General John Nicholson, the top U.S. commander in Afghanistan, said, "I'm not refuting that." So this gives us even more evidence that Russia is once again involved in a proxy war with American and allied troops. You'll find this type of meddling on the part of Russia to be part of its communist nation building, which within recent memory has been even more successful than the U.S.'s efforts at spreading democracy. We published a booklet in 2009 called Exposing Terrorism Inside the Terror Triangle. We write on page 8 that Americans tend to think that Russian and Chinese private firms manufacture weapons just as some companies produce small handguns up to major weapons systems in the U.S. This is not the way it works. All weaponry in these other countries is manufactured in government-owned, government-operated facilities, or at least government-regulated. Their products are not sold or given to anyone without government knowledge. The fact that almost all terrorist groups are armed with Russian and/or Chinese weapons is not a coincidence. Now, the Russian KGB had a technique it utilized to build layers of deniability to avoid detection. In fact, the current FSB continues to utilize it. How it works is that the KGB would use a surrogate state to operate a terrorist group inside a third country. The group would carry out acts of terror in a fourth country, which allowed Moscow to play a game of cooperation on the international stage while actually and secretly running the terrorist show. Moscow has long worked at using any and all means to fool people to bring them into the Russian orbit of control. One example of this is Middle Eastern Islam. By shrouding communists under Islam, layers of deniability are created as the Russians run terrorism that looks to be entirely Muslim in origin. A video that came out last week from researcher Trevor Loudon substantiates this. Called America Under Siege, Soviet Islam, it is a 26-minute video that does a great job in opening the door to exposing the Soviet influence in Islam. Our 2009 booklet lists three main players in what we call the Terror Triangle: certain elements of the US, Russians, and Beijing. The globalists in each of these have a common agenda: create a new world order that will build and share a world government. We recommend reading the booklet for more information. In fact, we've just updated it so a 2017 edition is now available. ShopJBS.org will have it available. This recent news revelation about Russia arming the Taliban continues to prove how right the John Birch Society is regarding the problems facing those who love freedom, not just in America, but all throughout the world. In addition, the disappointing news of Trump's flip-flops prove that we should not place all of our trust and hope into a restored republic into the hands of politicians, no matter how good their campaign rhetoric sounds. And it also demonstrates that if you don't have a full understanding of the problem, then how can you have an effective solution? Think of that before you commit yourself to the latest solution as touted in the conservative world. What you will find when you dig into the problem is that there is an agenda with an organization behind it. You don't fight organization by debating issues. You don't fight organization by holding a rally. And you don't fight organization by rewriting the Constitution. You fight organization with organization. You organize on the local level within nationally coordinated projects. You organize to educate, activate, and motivate. And this is exactly what the John Birch Society does. We have the organization and the tools needed to succeed. The only thing missing is you. So join today by going to jbs.org. And be sure to like and share this video with family and friends. Sign up for our e-newsletters and subscribe to our social media channels. And let me conclude with a follow-up on a popular topic that we covered May 21st of 2012. It was titled Photo Manipulation, and we showed you a series of photographs that involved a grandmotherly-looking woman who appeared in communist propaganda going back to at least the mid-1990s, especially during parades and May Day events. Well, today being May Day, she's back. The Associated Press once again has her as a focus at a parade. But if you look very closely at the photo, you see that in this contrived shot, she's standing with her back to the parade photo, or to the parade, while holding a photo of Stalin. And one wonders if she is thinking about all the people butchered by that tyrant, or how she feels about being a tool for communist propaganda. Until next time, we'll see you then.